Hello guys, today we are doing City Side on Overpass. This is a coaching lesson with Gosu Academy, and we've got a few people from the academy here with me live. Um, the difference from being a live viewer and being a guy watching a YouTube video is, or a girl watching a YouTube video, is if you're here live, it's much easier to ask questions, it's much easier to make requests for future sessions. And if you would like to try it out yourself, there is a link in the description of this video. It gives you 1 month free, basically subscription to Gosu Academy where you can try it out. It's non-binding, so if you don't want to stay, then you don't have to. But we do a ton of content here. I'm not the only coach, but I do weekly sessions, and that means 4 sessions you'd be able to sit in on if you would like, for no money at all. Today I'll be going through CT side on Overpass, and just so kind of I get ahead of it, I have not played a ton of Overpass in CS2, and I'm sure the meta has sort of changed on some points. I am a little bit updated with some things, like teams using this smoke and using like playground molo. And then flashing up and taking this area and making it even harder for T's to take space. But in terms of actually landing the util, I am not sure I know all the lineups. And this just to say, if you're watching this video now to learn a bunch of default lineups, that might not be the place. There are a ton of YouTube tutorials out there. I have a good friend called Nard out here. He makes like a ton of videos about specifically the throwing of nades. But what I will be focusing on instead, like I've done in my Vertigo video, in my Anubis video that we did, I think we did one, nuke CT rotations, is I want to focus on how to play the areas like a pro team, how to think like a pro player, but also basically go into detail with each person on the team's role and talk about what is the B player supposed to be doing, what is the short player supposed to be doing, like what are their roles, what are their jobs that they have to fulfill to be playing at a pro standard, and how do the rotations work, stuff like this. We'll be focusing mostly on the CT side today, because that's typically the easiest thing to learn from, since CT is more reactionary in a way, where T is a lot about, I guess, going out there and doing stuff. That can be kind of hard to cover in a 1 hour thing. But CT is a little bit more doable. Eventually, in the later sessions, we will move on to T as well. So that's sort of a long intro. Give a little bit more intro. I've played Overpass in a couple of my professional teams. I played it in Sprout, which was my first professional team. And I do believe I have probably the best map I've ever played was a map against Heroic. On Overpass, in fact. And later I transferred to Heroic. We played a ton of Overpass. Played with BlameF, a very, very good in-game leader. Beat Navi on this map in my first tournament with Heroic. Played in Nordavin as well. And just have been playing this map more than a couple of times and more than a couple of years. Meta has shifted, obviously, over time. But I will try to do my best to explain what I've seen and what I know works. And I think what we will do is we will start with sort of the simpler role. The simplest of them all is playing Monster. I say it's simple because it's maybe simple is the wrong word. I would say more straightforward. It is a position where you have only one area to cover, and you don't really need to worry about a whole lot of other things. The problem is there is a million ways to abuse the monster player for the Ts. As always, we'll go into the counters as well. So like, how do we need to play a CT, and what are the Ts probably going to be doing against you? We'll be talking about the short player and the B rotation, and then moving up to A. So talking about the monster player, the first thing we gotta know is, and again, if I fail any nades, you are allowed to laugh here in the academy, but please mute your microphones.
NATO, sorry,
Yeah?
you're not streaming.
I'm not streaming.
In this
Perfect.
version, yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. That was a test to see if you guys were here. You were. All right. So first thing we gotta do when we talk Overpass CT is we want the B rotation or one of the A players to be throwing the monster smoke every round. Now, the way the monster smoke is really easy to throw in CS2 is you just get stuck in this trash can, you aim like at this beam out here, and just a normal jump throw. This one goes over and hits the bridge and blocks off monster. It's quite quick. It lands very far at the back of the pipe. The reason why this is preferable is because it's harder for the CTs to push through an area if they go into a confined space after pushing the smoke. So you can imagine they go through here. There's not a whole lot of room, but if the smoke would be here, there would be more space for the T's to move out this side or move the other side, and overall they can go quickly on a flash out and create space. So the ideal position for the smoke is something like here, or maybe even a little bit further back, but that's more for resmoking. But this smoke is very essential, and the reason why this is so essential is because anyone who has been here in past sessions will know I have this sort of thing I like to teach, which is that the T's will typically do what is the easiest for them to do. And the easiest thing on Overpass, the one that requires the least effort and sort of the least mental capacity for the T's, is just simply going monster. Because we talked about it, especially in the cone of awareness. You can check this angle, then you can check this angle, you can check up here, you can check up here. And every fight that you take is sort of one at a time. So it's very, very simple to isolate angles. The difference with monster and short is that on short you can check this angle, check this. But as soon as you start checking this, now you're opening yourself up to barrels at the same time. Someone can peek you here on timing, and it gets worse the further you get in. So when you peek back up, or if you peek ABC, now you're open to monster, and you're open to like this off angle. That's why blocking monster at the start of rounds is really important, because you don't want to give the T's an easy way to take a fight, basically. A lot of T's play with the mindset, even at the top level, that if monster is not smoked and they are a lone B-lurk, they will just walk out and try to fight the monster guy. Because if they go out and win this fight on the barrels player, it puts so much pressure on the B side. It gives space for his teammates to take more space, and it's a typically pretty risk-free engagement. Like, you can kind of take this first duel, but even if you get the kill, you can always fall back and play the 5-on-4. So as CT, really important to do the smoke. I've shown it one time already from spawn. I won't do it again. But using this smoke is very key. Now, a lot of people, as monster player, will jump down in the water. This is the fastest route, by the way. Don't go from backup. Always go from heaven. You want to jump out, want to land in the water. And a lot of people will come here and they will instant Molotov. Now, doing an instant Molotov is not necessarily bad, but it is in some ways a little bit overkill. It is quite rare that teams choose to rush through a instant monster smoke, and so doing a Molotov here every round is kind of wasted in my opinion. And it also is a piece of utility that is great to have for later in the round, so that if the T's decide to go very late in the round, you can use a Molotov on monster, or you can use a Molotov on short. It's also, a Molotov on short can be very helpful in clearing out the position behind the sandbags, so that you know they can only come from the right side. And therefore using a Molotov on monster is a little bit how I see using a Molotov on hot, on nuke. It is something you do in rounds where you expect a rush, but it's not something you do every round. I will show you what I was doing when I was playing monster in complexity, when I was standing in. What I would always do, if I wouldn't be using my Molotov, I would come out here. I would go here, I would underhand a flash, I would turn around, and then peek on a flash. And now, this meant that if the T's would be rushing through this smoke, trying to beat it, they would either have to run anti-flash, or they would eat my flash, or if I would come out here and I would get blind now, then I would just start kind of spamming and hoping to kill anyone making it through the smoke. It is not a foolproof plan, but it's pretty solid, and I would say mostly does the job of blocking a rush. There aren't that many effective flashes the CTs can throw, and also either way, for the T's to blind me as they are rushing, they will have to time the exact moment when I turn around, and now I have to get blind. So this worked really well for me. It's what I would probably sort of advocate for. The flash that I'm talking about, the T's could be doing, is doing a top right flash like that. I'm not sure if I failed it now, actually. Let's see. Like, anything like this would be blinding me to a point of making my life difficult, but it would need to be timed in exactly the moment where I turn around. What I did is basically some tips for playing Monster. Is as soon as you win this area, you can kind of keep resmoking it for a while. Typically, because it's the B rotation or the A player smoking this, the Monster player will have another smoke to resmoke, and the short player will also typically have another smoke to resmoke. In CSGO, I made a really big deal out of saying never ever smoke short as CT. There was a very good reason for this, and the reason was that if you are boosted up on short, you had kind of one-way vision in CSGO. In CS2, it's a little bit different because there is no such thing as one-way vision. Not in the same way of CSGO at least. So smoking short is an option, but I would always, if possible, prefer smoking Monster. So that's worth knowing. I have this lineup as well. Actually, I don't have this lineup, I see now, because they changed it. But anyway, there are plenty of lineups. I don't know them, again, from not having played Overpass competitively. I know that there were some lineups like standing here and aiming somewhere at a window. There are probably lineups like this that are not hard to find for CS2 as well, where it will be possible for you to throw a Monster smoke a little bit more on the fly. Something like this. Could probably aim a little bit more to the side so that it takes this corner. But the idea is the same. It's a way for the short player to re-smoke Monster without being close, or for the B rotation to smoke, however the round ends up. Some things to say about Monster is that I personally think one of the best setups you can run as a sort of default setup, and especially like in PUCs and in lower levels, I've talked about this in the past as well. If you have your Monster player playing left side, or sort of in the middle as long as the smoke is up, this means that he can very easily hold the smoke, and if he gets blind, so long as he has a player playing rain or wood, whatever you call it, and holding off flanking on short, this means he will never get blind by the Monster flash, and so when it comes, he can turn around and kill this guy before his teammate gets killed. The same thing is kind of effectively works. If Monster is not smoked, this guy is just playing the duel. If he gets it, he will try to kill. If he gets blind, this guy can swing. Like he's holding, he won't get blind, he swings, he tries to kill. This is a super simple setup. And there isn't that much good that the T's can do against it. That is very easy. There are some counters. I know in CSGO it was possible to Molotov Rain. I don't have a perfect lineup for this, but you can imagine you could Molotov off of the pillar here, and it would land like this. This would push the Rain player out into Monster or back. And then if you did it with this Molotov and combined it with a flash, you kind of isolate the guy playing on the, like along the wall. You peek this guy, it's hard for a trade from the short guy. Or maybe you Molotov Rain, you spam through the smoke as T. That is one counter. People at the top level will also do like nade stacks on Rain, where they will double or sometimes even triple nade this area, since it is a very common area. This is why it is a sort of good default setup to do in PUGs, because not many people will use this Molo and have a coordinated flash popping at the same time. Not a lot of people will be able to do a double or triple nade on Rain with perfect lineups. This is a very hard setup to break without, or not a very hard setup, but it's pretty hard setup to break if you don't have these kind of tools like a double nade or the Molotov. Alternatively, as a T, one thing you could do in PUCs, just to give you another sort of counter, you could have your AWP sitting right side holding left. And when the Monster smoke fades, these guys go out, they take the fight against the wall. When the Rain guy wants to swing and trade, he dies to AWP, and the round is very hard. This requires you, though, to be able to play slow rounds, and that's why this doesn't happen that much in PUCs, basically. Another way for a Monster player to be playing is playing like either jiggling with a rifle or a molo out or a smoke out. And this will allow him to get early contact and try to play to stay alive. A very popular use for a smoke. Instead of getting contact and smoking the pipe, what a lot of people will do is they will get contact and then they will tuck in and do like a, that was pretty bad, like a smoke left side pillar. This gives them space to, first of all, fall back. I think even I can get this lineup way better. It's probably a little bit more like this, where you give yourself space to play. You can stay alive behind the barrel, and you can also fall back. But it also gives you some interesting angles. A lot of teams will try to like go up here in the smoke, which is pretty difficult in CS2 without a flash. And it just allows you to buy some time. A normal thing as well is that when the T's do decide to pop or go contact out monster, they will use a Molotov barrel. So having the smoke out is nice because you can turn it off and you can again try to stay alive around barrels, buy some time. These are very common things to do. What is a good counter to this? Well, there is something called, I call it Gambit. Let me see. Not quite. It's probably up here. So what Gambit basically is doing a B-pop where you let the monster smoke fade. You have someone come out here and stand and get ready. And as that guy is ready, if you know the monster player is playing barrels, the flash comes over the roof or like over the fence. He gets blind. And the idea of this flash is that the first guy is very far pushed. When the flash comes, he basically jumps out, he goes, and he only goes to try and kill the barrels player. If you can kill this guy, then you know there's only a short player and a rotation player left. And this is, normally not the hardest kills. If I threw the flash correct, this should be taking the short player as well. I think even I could get it to land a little bit better. I'm not sure if this guy will be blind. Okay, he will. So this flash is pretty good. It allows you to do a very explosive B-pop ST. And this is something that people definitely do as a counter to the monster play, or like the barrels player playing defensively. A kind of counter to that is playing up here. At least I've seen it used in CSGO, that if people don't throw the flash enough to the right, this roof will help in blocking the flash. And on top of that, it will kind of block your head as you're standing here. It's also a huge off angle because as the T's come out, they're expecting a headshot duel. So they're aiming here, which is actually on your legs. And having to flick up here is not that easy. On top of this as well, it is quite a big off angle. No one holds a barrels angle like this. So it's for the T's unexpected that when they shoulder peek this, that they will get caught early, basically. I guess that's kind of the default things you gotta know as a monster player. Yeah, honestly, I think that kind of covers it. I guess the last thing you could be doing is some people choose to play really defensive setups, which are actually quite good. You can line up with this. There used to be some place to aim here in CSGO. Again, I don't know the lineups too well. Probably it would be somewhere here, where you smoke off left side pillar with a lineup. So one is holding smoke, the other could be here on Sipix, jiggling info for monster, for example. When he gets contact, this guy uses a defensive smoke, and now the T's are kind of blocked from taking further space. A big win condition from T's getting out of monster is getting the kills quick and getting down and clearing and owning water. Because as soon as you have the water area, retakes for the CTs are way harder. That's why this defensive smoke, it slows down the T's. It makes them kind of unable to take water in any easy way. And that's the idea of that. So yeah, that's kind of the monster player's job. One thing as well to note is if you play barrels, you can die to 2-man boosts on short. This is something you need to be careful of. There is also a ledge here, which will make you jump in a little bit of a weird way. Like you will fall down very quickly. So some monster players choose to play like this, that they will kind of jump spot info. They are very difficult to hit. It's like an info jump, kind of like a Mirage Ticket or like Vertigo. when you're jumping over the sandbags. Unfortunately, the devs have like added this thing, which makes it a little less useful, but I still think it has some use. You can do this with a Molotov or a smoke, and if you get contact, you can still do the same defensive smoke. You can buy time, and that's really your job as a monster player. My personal opinion, playing monster on Overpass is the worst position in the entire game. Like, I hate this so much. I would rather play B on Mirage, for example. I would rather play A on Mirage. I think this position, it sucks to play, because you need really good support from your teammates, and a lot of times you will die without even feeling like you had a fair fight. But talking about teammates, let's talk about the short player and his job. Typically, instead of going through the heaven, which I said was the fastest route, what the short player will be doing is he will come over here, and he will be doing a Molotov on short. Let me see if I land this. I don't. Actually, I think I have a jump throw forward lineup for this. Yes, I do. So, what I do is, I have a jump throw forward bind. I go in front of the door, and I aim a little bit down from this, and jump throw forward. The idea of this Molotov is it goes very deep inside the tunnel, so it burns the T further back, and he has less sort of vision. In CSGO, it worked in a way that if you would do just a... I'll try to just throw it like this. If you do like the normal Molotov like this, the Ts would always smoke it here, and they would be able to go behind it. So later on, the meta became that if you, as CT, would do like a jump throw or forward Molotov that would go really far in, this would require that the T would turn off the Molotov more here, to turn off all the Molotov, and it would make it much harder to creep behind the smoke. Without like showing yourself, basically. But for some reason, and I think it's kind of broken and needs to be fixed, if you do this Molotov, even though the Molotov goes so deep and it burns so far out, you can actually turn it off all the way in the end here, and it should turn off the Molotov deep, which I don't really know why it works like that, but it does in CS2. So yeah, I just use the jump throw forward lineup because it's consistent. It's getting the Molotov fast there, and if the T decides to not throw the smoke, he has very little space to move here. The Molotov is very key because this Molotov will allow you to take short for free. All you have to do is check. Okay, they didn't. Well, basically, actually, you just do the Molotov, and if the Ts don't do a Molotov on their own, a lot of Ts will do this Molotov. Well, if they don't do this Molotov, you as CT can just simply run out. As long as the Molotov is burning, you know the Ts haven't taken shot. You can come out here. Either if you think you have enough time, you can throw a smoke here inside the pipe. An alternative to this is just banking it off the sign. And now you own short. The reason why short is very important area to have, just to talk a little bit theory, is that it is kind of well, it is probably the most important area for Ts to have to be able to rotate between sides fast. And Overpass is a place where you need to be able to rotate fast. Connector is always something you will have to go through if you want a fast rotation as T, but as T you are able to take it from kind of two sides, and it's not that difficult. Like, if Ts actually really want connector, people have lineups to Molotov here, so that this burns, and then afterwards they will do like a Molotov at the top. That lands up here. If you land it correct, it should burn basically everything. It also burns down here just to be safe. And it's very hard for CTs to contest this. That's why if CTs have short instead, this is a way to nullify the quick T rotation. And yeah, anyone who's been watching Counter-Strike for, let's say, 6 years will potentially know the USP highlight from Stewie being here, people jumping out, killing everyone. It is very nasty as a T, having low time and not having short control and having to jump out here and hope for the best. This is a nightmare scenario, and that's why for CTs, they will basically always do this Molotov, and Ts at the pro level will always do the short Molotov to block the CTs from taking this area for free. Whoever has this area has a really strong round win percentage. If the CTs have it, they block the Ts from being able to do the fast rotate, and if the Ts have it, they as long as the Ts know that the CTs don't have it, they are able to have the fast rotation, and they also will make the CTs more comfortable because they're able to fake A and then go fast to B, for example. So it just makes rotating a CT more difficult. That's why this Molotov is basically a must when you're a short player. Most of the pro teams, they prioritize having this HE as well. There's probably a better lineup. I just threw something on feeling. I'd personally probably go here and do like a back step. This will blow the door, and the reason why you blow the door every round as CT at the pro level is because you can jump spot info for underground, but on top of this, if you as CT get short, it allows you to hold like some kind of nasty angles, and it allows Ts to be slowed down even further. That's why for most Ts, they either will come and like do a smoke that lands out here to block off vision. This is removing one smoke from the T's arsenal, and that's always a good thing. Other ways the teams will deal with this is some people have lineups. I don't know it exactly. I'm just gonna throw something super random, but they will do like a holy hell. That was actually pretty close. They will just do a smoke that lands either like this, or ideally, actually, it's possible to throw a smoke that lands like that makes no sense. Like this. The reason why this is better to throw, this is one you can throw from spawn, is because it will give the T side a little bit of an advantage on this side of the smoke, but it will also give them an advantage on the other side of the smoke. And it makes it pretty difficult for the CTs to take this area so long as the T can get connector, because they can be peeked from both sides. So, yeah, if you're interested, I remember I had a lineup for it from here, I think. I don't have right now in CS2, but just imagine you smoke like this, it banks off the side here and lands something like this. A much better smoke, and will still deny the CTs from having the boost info if you land it correct. Yeah, so basically, short player does Molotov, and does Molotov in the pipe, does HE here. If he can get short for free, it's pretty good. I think most of the time, if you as CT recognize you can get short for free, you should tell your monster player to come over and take short with you, or tell your B rotation player to come and take short with you. Short is an area you can leave one guy late, but at the start of rounds, it's typically nice to be two, just so you have trade potential, because there is times where the Ts will allow you to take short, and they will wait behind the Molotov, but the idea for them here is just getting one flash over short, and then as soon as the Molotov fades, they come out swinging, they kill you here, and if you have no one with trade potential, you will lose a player and lose the short fight. And yeah, that's something we obviously want to avoid. For the short player as well, he is kind of like supposed to play in tandem with the monster player. We talked about it already. To allow the monster player to play on this wall, we kind of need a short player in some position where he can trade. There will also be times where, for example, the monster player will be playing barrels, and this gambit flash comes in. That would be a possibility for the short player to be jiggling this. And when the flash comes in, he's not blind. He tries to kill this guy coming out fast, and this, like him holding contact, allows the monster player to peek on his contact. There's a whole lot you can do in terms of the synergy between these two players. And we talked about another setup with the smoke, this guy holding first contact. There's a million ways that the short player can play. But typically he will be playing with the monster player not early in the round, because early in the round he'll be using his Molotov and his HE. The monster player will be blocking monster. But later in the round, like even after, let's say, the first monster smoke, he will be trying to play in a way where he can help his monster player in some kind of setup. One of the best short players I ever played with, funnily enough, is actually this guy called Krias. Not a player who has really played that long at tier 1. I guess he hasn't really. But he simply had such a good read for for short. what he was doing was always trying to take short if it was free. But then also, I was playing B rotation when I was playing with him, and he was super good at having an understanding of how we need to do this boost now. You boost, and you kill this guy who's out short. Or he had a really good feeling for, let's boost here. Or he had a feeling like, let's contact out now, or I need a flash. He always had a really good read of where the T was playing. And it was just, a pleasure to play with this player. He simply had such a good understanding of short. This is the goal if you are a short player, in my opinion. I guess that's kind of what there is to say about a short player. I don't think there really is that much key util. Like, one thing just to note is if your guy is playing barrels, any flash like this is good, because it will flash in front of barrels. If your barrels player is doing left side pillar smoke, and the T's are slowing down, or you got like the first 2 kills, sometimes it can be worth to offer a flash through the smoke. It looks a little bit crazy, but if the CT who throws the defensive smoke goes through the smoke on a flash, you are able to get a lot of kills typically, because the T's will always have some kind of vision open to this smoke, so long as they don't make it all the way to here. But even if they do, they will typically try to push close on the smoke, and yeah, this flash is very powerful. So this is something you can definitely offer to your teammates. Any questions so far for these 2 positions? Okay, perfect. So for the B rotation, we talked about already. His main job, in my opinion, is smoking this monster smoke every round. Then he will be almost every round, I want to say, going B at the start. The reason why he almost always goes B at the start as a sort of default thing is because B is the easy thing to do as T. Popping through a smoke, taking a risk that way, it's very all-in, but it is the easy thing for the T's, and the CTs have to have a default setup that kind of counters what is easiest. We talked about this a lot, so I won't spend too much time on it. There will be rounds as well as B rotation where you maybe will smoke and you will start A. Maybe you've just won 5 consecutive rounds by defending on B, and you're thinking, okay, now the T's are definitely going to go A. I don't have a use on B, so now I want to smoke and I want to start A. This could be a thing. It could also be a thing that you say, I don't think they're going B at all, and I don't think we need to start heavy B at all. So what we want to be doing is the B rotation player wants to start in an aggressive position on A. And so, for example, the short player instead, he is doing the monster smoke. Or maybe the monster player is doing the monster smoke, so the short player can still do his Molo nade combo to make it look like a default round. But then they play from the back, boosting backup, for example. Or they play one backup, one APC, and you just sort of commit to playing the B side on kind of retake, or at least in a setup where you can buy time on B. It's basically just an A commit. This is up to the B rotation to decide, do you want to start B or A? But again, as default, I think it's much better to start B and then the T's go A, because there will always be time to rotate up A. But if you are forward on A, there won't be time to rotate back to B, and B is a pretty impossible side to retake, so you've just lost the round at this point. That's why it is called a B rotation, because the guy is mostly B, but is a rotating player. As the B rotation, there is quite a bit of util that you can learn. I don't have lineups for everything, but I will show you some of it. One thing could be, for example, if your short player wants to take short and you're anyway around the water area, or maybe playing heaven, if you just put your back on this wall and you aim like along this line, any jump flash like this should be pretty much not perfect, but it lands in the right area and it blinds the T, and that's really what you need. You can aim a little bit more right if your teammate prefers that. That way it also takes the people who are out here. It's really, again, as I said, what you prefer. There is also some teams where the B rotation will be like getting ready for the boost. The short player will be boosting, and the monster player will come and do, I again don't know the lineup, but imagine a flash like this. That actually probably would be fine. On this flash, the B rotation jumps up, or like goes up on a boost, and he checks, and it's possible if this door is naded and not smoked, he can check underground and he can check short with a flash. It's very low risk info play, and something that, yeah, I see basically every top team sort of attempt. There is also the possibility of doing like a smoke like this. It's not exactly this lineup. I'll try it once more, see if I can. It might be something like this. Very close. Let me give it one more try. Maybe here. Okay. Let's try. Promise. Let's go here. So, yes, this is the one. If you bounce the smoke in this corner, you're able to smoke outside monster in a way where the T either has to play completely outside monster and give all control, or he has to be playing out in this space where he's very open. And the smart thing with that is that from this same position, there is a lineup on the ground where you can run and throw a flash that goes over and lands out here. I can show you a very easy lineup for this flash. If you jump up here, you aim bottom of the sandbag, and you jump throw. This is one that's very easy to remember. It flashes out in this area, and so in combination with the smoke, that will basically destroy the T. I can show you how it looks real quick. It's a very hard flash to even see or dodge. I know there is a running lineup where you can do it, like do this smoke and then do it. I don't know it quite that well right now. This was very close, but this will make the flash pop even faster and be even more difficult for the T side to dodge. So that is an option. I have it as a B rotation as well. You can go in front of this wall. You can aim just, I think, here on the green. This is like a pop flash for monster. You can check out how it looks real quick. And this is kind of a check flash that the barrels player, if he feels like, okay, now the monster smoke has been fading for a while, maybe he will like throw his HE, he will ask for the check flash. He says, okay, flash now. You flash, boom, he checks. If there are people here, he will destroy everyone. If there's no one here, he knows it. Yeah, that's another piece of utility. There's honestly a lot you can do as a B rotation. There are some rounds, or like some teams in CSGO that used to play like a passive setup as well, where the B rotation will be playing here, and he will have lineup for this. This is, again, the sort of left side smoke, but it is done in a position where the barrels player can get contact from safe, and you have this, from a more passive position, just to show you a different lineup. For the B rotation, again, there is like a lot of things you can do. This, I guess, is not a lineup anymore, but you can also bounce a Molotov in this corner. If it lands exactly on this, it burns both. And then you can just do any shitty flash in front of short like this. This is a set to take short, because if the guy is in here, he will have to be pushed out. And he kind of is out in the open watching this, getting blind. Be creative as a B rotation. There's really a lot of util you can learn. I bet there's a million things I haven't covered. Yeah, that's kind of how it is to play B rotation. One more thing I can show you real quick is that if the door gets blown in underground and you kind of don't have a role as B rotation, you can actually stand and jump like this, and this will allow you to check if someone is walking forward underground. Another thing that can be really good by playing Heaven as the B rotation is if the T's decide to boost, by standing up on this ledge, you'll be able to kill them before they kill your teammates. And so it is sometimes, as the barrels player, very nice to know that you have your B rotation playing heaven, because in that moment you know you won't have to worry that much about boosts, basically. At least I should think so. Maybe they can actually go behind this and see. I'm not entirely sure, but I've at least seen people get kills like this before. So, yeah, maybe it's different in CS2. So that kind of covers the B rotation towards B. I guess B rotation towards A, the best thing you can think is just you are a joker. Now, what is it, like, what does it mean to be a joker in Counter-Strike? It's basically when you are an unexpected player. So, for example, if you are an A player and you, in this round, have decided to hide barrels by doing this, the teammate is baiting for you. Even the good players, or maybe especially the good players, when they kill a barrels player here, they will think, okay, nothing out of the ordinary. And then the A player, because he's normally playing somewhere else, is now a joker. He's in a position that is unexpected and he can get some kills. An example of this could be AWP plays here, whatever, gets a kill here. At the same time, the rifle player is peeking long, something stupid like this, he gets spotted. This means for the underground players, as T, oh my god, both A players spotted. Now we know we can take fast space in underground. And then in this round, the B rotation have decided to start underground, so he just gets 3 kills. And that is an example of playing Joker. Could also be him playing whatever long toilets while Orb and Rifle are playing together in underground. And they maybe, whatever, double swing with 2 rifles. Then this guy plays long toilets as a Joker because the T's, they hear, oh my god, they swung with 2 underground. Let's take space fast long, whatever. And then you have a Joker here. That's an example of being the Joker. Yes. So, I think that kind of covers B rotation in my head. Any questions? Okay. Otherwise, just you can always interrupt. I hope you know this, guys. Going into the A players. The A players' roles are honestly pretty difficult because they have 3 areas to defend: toilets, banana, and long. And there are only 2 players for the most part. So you kind of always have to have the mindset that you need to risk something is open. And this is something that the T's will abuse by, you know, if you are like heavy fighting toilets banana, the T's will take a timing long. Having this sort of internal clock or this understanding of what you think the T's will be doing is really what will win you rounds. If we are playing a CT heavy, like fight in this area, and I've just heard 2 flashbangs pop on long, well, this tells me the T's are probably taking fast space long, and now I need to play in a way where I am ready to defend that, basically. Talking about key utility to know, again, I don't know it because I'm bad at the game. But this is a very key piece of utility to know. The mid Molotov, this is a very key piece of utility to know. The playground Molotov, these 2 slow down the A push a lot. What teams have been doing in CS2 so far is they will, I touched on this briefly at the beginning, they will use this smoke, and they will use this Molotov, and then they will do just basically any random flash up here. This will allow them to win this area in a way where the T's are unable to push. This smoke, or like, sorry, this Molotov on playground, the way it lands and the way you kind of have to extinguish it, makes it so if you want to push out on the left, you will always be open to any AWP holding an off angle here. Like, holding this, you will be able to see this guy, or even just holding, yeah, you could potentially hold this. It makes it very scary to go left side of this smoke ST. I guess very risky. That's why, for the most part, players will go to the right side. And I'll tell you a little bit about how we abuse this when high top AWP. So for the rifle, he will probably be the one doing the mid Molotov every round. He can also do the smoke in some rounds. He can also do the playground Molotov. It's really up to him, but I would say since the rifle is not as often going for an early opening as the AWP is, it's more likely the rifle player will be throwing this utility than the AWP player. Now, also kind of talking about meta and what teams have been doing a lot recently has been having the rifle player playing around connector a lot. The reason why connector is such a good position is because, first of all, we talked about it earlier, if you have connector as CT, this makes it so the Ts can't do any fast rotations from bomb site to bomb site. So if the CT is able to hang on to connector, this eliminates the T's faking potential, basically. And on top of this, it's also an area that is very good to push, because if you push this, you are almost always on a big flank. On top of this, and this is probably one of the most powerful things, if you're playing a CT down in underground, this is where the short player or the rotation player can throw flashes over connector. And basically any flash that goes above this hedge or goes above underground is extremely overpowered. And I'll show you why. If I'm standing here, doesn't really matter where, doesn't matter if it's here or here or here, or if I'm trying to hide behind a bench, or if I'm actively looking for this fight underground, no matter where I am, this flash will absolutely destroy me. And the reason why it's so good is because it's again sort of a check flash. You can get this flash, you can check, okay, they're not up mid. But if they are up mid, now as CT you are fighting people who are blind in a headshot angle where you have space to move to the sides. The risk that you die on this fight is almost zero, so long as you don't get flanked from down underground. And so being able to play in this area as CT is just really overpowered, because it makes it so difficult for the T's to take space. On top of this, as T, it is actually quite difficult to Molotov underground in a good way. Like, you could open yourself up to toilets and banana and bounce a Molotov like this. But it is just far from perfect, and it's also not that great. Even if you come out here and you want to like Molotov underground, while you can do it in a way that it will block the CT, it's just really sort of typical, it feels like, that when you're trying to throw this Molotov, or when you're up here and you pull out the Molotov, that's the timing when the CT gets the flash and then he peeks. Or if the CT does get Molotov here, if he already asked for a flash, maybe he risks it, steps into the Molotov and kills you here. It is just a very powerful space to own as the A rifle, and that's why lately we have seen CTs use this area solo a lot more than in previous years, basically. So if you're able to be really good playing around connector as a rifle, this is good. But a lot of knowing about how to play connector is also knowing when you have to leave it, because as I mentioned earlier, if you win a lot of rounds by having a CT playing in connector, well, a good team will punish you with these double Molotovs. And with these double Molotovs, there won't be much space for you to play in. They will force you up, so you're open to this. And so if the T's do like a toilet smoke and do double Molotovs, you will as CT be forced up here for a fight, and it will be very uncomfortable and very difficult for you to do anything. On top of that, it's hard for your AWP to sort of come here and save your life, because the T's can sit all the way over here potentially, or at least they can move over here. So playing connector, really, really strong for rifle. Can be very difficult, and having a good understanding of this is key. I guess more things for rifles. Just one thing that is like a very old play. If you smoke off mid, you can come and play here. You can check this on flashes, or you can just hold here if you want. There's also the possibility of going on this wall where you're actually hidden. It's a pretty big off angle, and it like hides you from mid as well. like you can't really be seen like this. I think maybe you can if you have an M4 silence, then you go a little bit too close to this thing. But as long as you play like somewhere here, it should be fine. Again, a big off angle where you can take timings on this, so you can peek here with the flash. That's one, play you can do. You can also play obviously like the tree, but really playing A as rifle is not so much, I would say, about what you can do. It's more about understanding what you can do. I guess that's Counter-Strike, like Counter-Strike in nature. But where I think Overpass is different, like Overpass A is different from any other place in Counter-Strike, is this is the only map, in my opinion, where as a rifle, you are actually kind of playing lurk. It sounds kind of crazy, but because there is so much space, and again, there are 3 entrances to the A bomb site, this is actually where a good rifle player can basically play lurk. By finding the right timings to push here, or playing around the tree, and waiting until, let's say, 50 seconds, and walk pushing here, and getting up and getting this timing, getting in behind the opposition, holding this area so that now the T's are forced to go B, because if they come back, well, then you kill them. These kind of things are what makes Overpass A rifle really strong. You can also push toilets on timing, you can push banana on timing. There are so many possibilities of you playing aggressive. There's also possibilities of you playing sort of semi-aggressive. There's positions where you can play passive on A, and there are also lurk timings to be had. So it is probably the most diverse position in the entire CT side. And it's also why Overpass A rifle is, or at least in CSGO, I think before the release of Anubis, and probably still might be, we just don't have the stats to back it up, but it was the statistically best performing position in the entire game on CT. This is where you get a ton of eco frags, like something that is so extremely simple is just doing this Molotov, coming up here as rifle, and getting a flash from your AWP, flashing like that. You come here as rifle, you check close, okay, they're not close, fair enough, they didn't go fast, or if they are here, they will be blind, you just get some free kills and you fall back. Or maybe as you're falling back, you hear them coming up underground, like with eco, whatever, Tech 9s. There's just so many good ways for you to get a lot of kills. And also, this nade is very useful. You come up here, you jump on this, you do this. It goes through the bushes and lands here. In fact, if you aim a little bit lower, it can even go all the way down here. And this is another reason why the A rifle has so good stats on this map. It's because he just does a lot of damage. A lot of eco kills to be had on A, a lot of nade damage to be had. And it's just a really cool position to play. Talking a little bit about the ways to play passive, I guess. This is an angle that is quite commonly used, where you're kind of hidden from toilets. You can also play on this wall if you want. I think you might have shadow advantage here in CS2 as well. And it's just kind of a way where you can fight banana with a good first duel. You can always fall back into toilets, or if the T's coming toilets, you can push here, or you can kill them like this. Many options as a rifle, basically. This is one. There's also the possibility of boosting over this sign and holding an angle like this, which is a massive off angle and will definitely get you kills. Yeah, there's honestly just a million things to do. And you just have to get creative. That's kind of it. Talking about the AWP on Overpass, I want to go through some AWP peaks, and I think I'll just start with B. So one that I like to do is going heaven, coming here. And what I like to do when I get to here is I will equip my AWP as I'm jumping out here, and I will land and I will pre-aim this. The reason why I do this is because for the T's, if the CTs don't smoke monster and they have an AWP, their AWP will typically go out and sit here. So what I do with my play is that I on purpose overjump his angle. Like, probably I will equip my op first, but I will overjump his angle so that I now force him into a position where he maybe sees me or maybe doesn't see me. If he doesn't see me, well, I'm peeking him from here and he will die. If he does see me, he kind of needs to peek me. Like, I win the angle by overjumping his angle. And it's a really kind of free way to have a good chance of killing the AWP. If you want, and your teammates know this flash that I discussed earlier, whatever it is, I think actually that landed. This is something you could combine your AWP peek with. You could get this flash that lands up here, and it will blind the T-AWP. On top of this, it's a very good way to, not a fantastic way, but it's one way to block B push. You can jump and peek this, and if he's not here, you can kill anyone rushing. Sometimes you even get a double kill. It's happened to me a million times. And with this, you can have just someone standing against this fence, aiming at this weird thing. Do this flash. It's kind of a flash in the back. So for the AWP, as he jumps here and peeks, boom, he gets a flash in the back now. He's able to safely fall back if they're rushing. There's also possibility of holding this angle. There's in fact also, if you do get on this side, like if you don't see anyone, I like to go here. This is a position where if a guy wants to walk short, you catch him off guard. If he wants to walk monster, you probably catch him off guard. And so long as you have someone rain or barrels holding a Molotov, for example, it is pretty risk-free in the sense that if you kill, then it's good. And if you miss, your teammate will always Molotov here and will always come and trade. The team will have to be pushed in front of this Molotov, and yeah, you use this Molotov block and you use it to trade. On top of this, one thing that can be really good, if you have two guys taking short, the rifle can go and hold this. And if this door is blown, yours AWP can come up and you can peek underground. These are really powerful duels that you will win a lot of the time. I also like, as AWP, peeking. Hey, you shouldn't jump like this. There's actually some movement you could do. I don't know if you can do it. I don't think you can do it in CS2, but in CSGO you used to be able to slide off here. But now they added this. Basically, you can just come here. You can peek this early. This is a really nice peek, because if you kill the underground player here, now you know underground is free. And it's possible for your rifle player, if he starts with your underground, to push up on this. This puts him in a really good position. We talked about it a lot, but yeah, he can lock rotations. There's also the possibility of AWP being boosted here to hold short. Also the possibility of AWP being boosted heaven. It's a little bit crazy, but you can sit somewhere like this, and you can see legs, and you can kill the guy if he comes underground. It's pretty underused because it's not that good, but if you play against a team that never smokes here as T, when you blow the door, it is a possibility. For mid, there's actually quite a lot you can do. You can do just like a normal mid smoke, where you will try to find an angle over it. You can also on purpose fail your mid smoke a little bit. So you land it here. This will, for the T's, look kind of like a normal mid smoke, like a little bit, but then you can go up as CT and you can peek this side. Like, I'm pretty sure you can land it better, maybe a little bit less. If you land it here, for example, it will look like an... Holy... Hang on, let me throw it real quick. It will, to the T's, look like a normal mid-smoke, but there will be a gap here for the CT AWP to play in, where you can take like one shot and fall back. There is the reverse possibility of this as well, where you throw it on purpose like this. I should really get lineups for this. But imagine you throw it like this, and you instead push up in front of the smoke. This gives you some elevation, and again, for the T's, this looks like any regular mid-smoke. So that's a possibility. One thing I like to do as well with AWP is, if you do the mid-smoke, you can come here, sit at the back, and hold this. It's a pretty risk-free position, and it makes it so you can block long at the start of rounds, where you can always fall back as AWP. The only thing that can kill you here is if they push the mid-smoke, or if they come like across the mid-smoke and they go up here. If you then miss the shot, well, then you're dead. But if you get the contact on a guy trying to run long, you can kill him, and if you can't, you can always fall back to a safe position. On top of this, you can also peek deep, long. I like to peek sort of this angle first. Like, I will zoom in on this. This is right around the area you will meet the T if he has a front spawn, and if not, you should be a little bit careful peeking these angles, because there can be AWPs here. But this was exactly what I wanted to mention from earlier. If we know the Molotov for this, what I've seen some AWPers do is they will, if this is Molotov, they obviously don't need to worry. But the way that this Molotov gets turned off is something like this. And this makes things very difficult for the T's to push through on the right side. So if you hold an off angle like this, it means if he goes right side, you have a chance of a kill. And if he tries to go through the smoke and he wants to go into this small house to peek, then you have already your like the angle locked basically. And if he wants to go from this side where there's actually space, he anyway will always have to cross this angle that you're holding. So this is another thing I see top AWPers do. Yeah, it's kind of the same as the A rifle. Like, it's a lot about getting creative and having a really good understanding of the game. There are so many things you can do, positions you can take. You can play here. You can also play here. You can also play here. I've even, in fact, heard of setups. I had a setup in a team where you played up here as AWP, so that if he peeked balloons, you would kill him. I've even, well, one of the things I really like doing is playing long toilets with AWP, because you can hold an angle like this. It's very safe. You can fall back in long, especially if you have a teammate here. But also it allows you for late. It gives you the possibility of going and holding like a pixel angle here, or going and taking this angle. Either way, these are angles where you will have a shadow advantage and a good chance at a kill, and you will have info on both banana and toilets at the same time. This is very strong. There are a million things you can do as AWP, and yeah, I've shown you some of the early round peaks. Really playing AWP on a Overpass is being creative and having good understanding of the game, having good understanding of when to hold what at what time, basically. And that's what makes this map so damn hard, because it's not a map where you can watch a YouTube video and get good at it, basically. It's a map, at least on A side, where you need to get the experience by playing the map a lot. Yeah. So that kind of covers the basis, I guess. Maybe one more thing I can show is just some AWPs also like going monster, or like going pillar with AWP. These are pretty strong angles. If you don't get blind, you can get a free kill here most of the time. Some AWPs like to play here as well. Some AWPs like playing here as well. Some AWPs like playing here as well. And these are all angles you can use. Obviously, some of them, like for example playing here, is not good if you're expecting a B pop through a smoke. But if you're expecting the short player to be taking a lot of duels, well, playing here or playing here is really strong, because you're countering exactly that. So yeah. That was some of Overpass CT side. It's a map I've done with people also in coaching before, and it's the map that I have set aside the most time for when I've done it in the past, together with Nuke, simply because this map is just so extremely deep. It's pretty crazy, but one hour doesn't even begin to cover all the things I could tell you on CT side. But this is enough for you to get a decent understanding of how the map gets played, what kind of counters there are to certain things, how you want to play each role, and also, yeah, I guess the top tip on A side for both the rifle and the AWP is watch a bunch of demos, because this shit is really, really difficult if you don't. So yeah, that kind of concludes what I want to show. Any questions? Or maybe not. I'll give it a few moments. I can see you're all muted. Maybe there's someone who comes up with something. We'll see actually while I wait. How this looks as T now. Because he used to blow up a lot of dust. I guess you could try as well, just to show you another cool trick. If the monster player and the short player both have good spawns, you can do something, I called it Godsend. Basically what you do is, instead of smoking monster, you will come and you will double nade monster like this with your teammate. The idea of doing this is that if the T's rush, they rush right into a double nade. And if the T's don't, let me see if I can do this in a proper way. I maybe can. No, I could not. I tried. Wait. So it will look like this. And as you can see, even if you're down here in the best position as the monster player, you won't be able to see much when these nades pop. And the idea of this is that you use the kind of smoke that gets created by the HE to double push monster instantly with 2 rifles. Try to take the fight to the lone B player, and if you win that, you know you have basically the entire one side of the map from the start of the round. It's a really strong play, because if the T player is here, you have a really good chance of killing him. If he's not here, you know you have B for free at the start of the round. And that is an insane thing to do, basically. If you know that, then you should be winning the round 9 times out of 10. Maybe even more than that. So yeah. Alright, well, if there are no questions, guys, then yeah.
Actually, I have one question. Can you just re-show how to throw that flash again that you threw from outside monster that hits everything for when you're trying to take out the toxic player?
Yes, the gambit flash, right? So what I do is I just line up on this, basically, and then I aim from the middle of this and up to the middle of this. But I do believe there is a better way to throw it. Like, this was just the lineup sort of I found now. I think you can throw it so it lands a little deeper and it lands kind of more here. But it seems that it kind of works either way. In fact, this one might be better because it also will potentially take someone standing here. It's a pretty cool flash to have. You can experiment with it a little bit, which lineup you like more. But yeah, it's a really powerful flash to do a pop if you're already out monster when you throw it. Yeah,
Thanks.
did you? Yeah, perfect. Also, I guess one kind of sneaky trick I can try to show you. Sometimes when I would peek with orb monster, my teammates would be, instead of throwing a smoke, they would throw a decoy. So for the T, it would look like we still did the monster smoke, if they didn't like really look at it. And it would only be when it started shooting that they would know it was not a smoke. And at this moment I would already be peeking. In fact, even at some point in Nordavind, I probably wouldn't recommend this, but we did it that we on purpose failed the smoke. So like, we would do something like this, and then it would, instead of... Okay, you can imagine, instead it would land like bouncing on this track and land up here, for example. And it would be really obvious for the T that we failed the smoke, and maybe he would call, like, oh, they failed the monster smoke, and then he would start, like, already contacting in. And then, you know, I would be doing this, and I would, whatever, kill him when he's coming down, or I would cross to this side, and I would hold this angle, and then now if you would contact out, like, I would have a free kill on him. That was something we had some success with. as well. Also something, if you have a saved rifle and you do the mid smoke, if you have one teammate standing like this, you can actually jump from the bench onto this guy's head, and you can do like the boost instant, and the boost will look basically like this, and it's a way where you can, with a rifle, get an early opening pick. So yeah, that's a good one to know. Some of you might know this as well, but if you like, a lot of people will smoke here. Actually, some people won't even smoke there. But you can also just come and stand here with one CT. Other guy jumps on his head. You can boost and you can kill the guy in a short pipe. What's really important, and this is something that always gets communicated in pro teams, is in a round where you want to boost to kill a short player, that's the only kind of round basically where the short player on our team will not be doing this Molotov. Because if you do this Molotov, it's maybe more likely that this guy will be smoking it off, and if he smokes it off, then you can't see him when you're in the boost. And other times it is just that you can only kind of see his 1 foot, and then I don't know, it's possible that the T's do something in underground that scares you off before this Molotov fades. That's also why whenever I play T underground, what I do every round is obviously, like, you need to look cool, right? So you jump down in a cool way, and then I always do this Molotov. It's exactly to counter this boost, but it also counters any CT who wants to do kind of an aggro play here, and it counters the AWP as well if I don't have a bad spawn. So sometimes what the AWPers will do is this Molotov will push them in front, and they will actually go here, try to search the duel. And if you hear them tagging in a Molotov, like there's stuff you can do. Like I don't know any fucking crazy lineup, but probably you can even like bounce it super weird off this and peek with it, or you can bounce an HE and peek with it. Like, this Molotov is really good to just counter CT aggression in underground, and that's why it's a really key piece of utility that I will always do if I think that they have weapons, basically. If I don't think they have weapons, then I might just call a teammate. Like, if they have low money, probably I won't take underground at all, or I will call a teammate to start underground with me. Then I will come up close with both of us holding weapons, and then we will start doing this that I talked about. We do this Molotov, we see if someone comes out. Okay, no one's coming out, and then the other guy will do the other Molotov, and this one will burn all of underground, and now we know that underground is clear. There is no possibility of anyone being here, because they were Molotov out earlier. When this Molotov fades, the only thing for them to do is they can run down into underground. But that's it. So, yeah. Alright, guys. Any other questions? Oh yeah, actually one thing I saw as well, I don't really know the lineup anymore, because it is kind of weird. It's something like this. This looks wrong. I mean, it was pretty close. There is some way where you can Molotov the short pipe. Maybe it even is here. But yeah, this is like some CS2 magic. I guess this would probably still even work. But yeah, you can definitely get it to land better. I don't really know what I'm missing right now. Probably I'm running too far or something. It is possible to land this Molotov in a way where it goes really deep in, and it's very fast. I think it's kind of a gimmick, because why do you have to do it from here? Like, I guess it's nice to know the lineup so you can do it from here, but at the same time, it's like kind of a gimmick. What is, in my opinion, not a gimmick is you could go here and Aishi. And so this is something that could be somewhat interesting, where if your short player Molotovs first, maybe you as rifle player, you do the Molotov mid, or like the Molotov playground, and you do the smoke and everything, and then you come over here afterwards, and as the Molotov is about to fade, that's when you do this nade together with your short player, who has like a lineup like whatever. And now you double nade the short player right as he is about to take it. That's when I could see this making sense. But with the Molotov, I think it doesn't make so much sense. But yeah. Alright, well, guys, if there are no more questions, then yeah. Then I think hopefully I did a good job explaining the different positions enough so that people got like learned something new or got some kind of understanding of how to play Overpass CT. Like what each person's job is. You're also quiet today, guys. But yeah, that's fine. Alright, well. If there ain't any questions, guys, then I'm end the session. Then I'll do some kind of outro here. So yeah, basically just thank you for watching, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I hope it helps some people to learn some new things about Overpass, like maybe some new util, or maybe just get a better understanding of how to play each position, and also like an overall understanding. We didn't really have so much time to talk about that. That's probably something we will do eventually when we go through the T side of Overpass, because Overpass is just so deep. Like, one CT side session and one T side session is probably not enough. So it's kind of for you guys, but also for the people watching the YouTube video. If you want to see more Overpass, we could probably even do a whole nother session with CT, because there is just so much to cover. And we haven't even covered like common reactions for Ts. Reacting on Overpass is probably the most important thing to learn on T. Simply because it is a map where the CTs again have so many options to do basically whatever they want. They can play aggressive, semi-aggressive, passive, or they can play kind of lurk on A. And knowing how to react efficiently is what will win you rounds on Overpass. So yeah, that's something we can do in a future session if people want. But for now, I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, thank you for watching.